Of course, everyone in mourning today with regards to the tragedy in Texas. And we've got a full house this hour. Chad Stone is going to join us momentarily right after the news with Brittany Temple to talk about the October jobs report. It's a tradition that we talk about that on the first Monday after the jobs report, so we will get that in. If you join us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, Make It Plain, you'll see this young man sitting next to me, and he must have known the right thing to wear because he's got on his Georgetown cap today. Hoya Hoya Saxa, all the way. Ed Gordon's in here to my right. What's up, man?
How you feeling?
I'm okay, man. As well as can be expected under the circumstances.
Once again.
This doesn't stop, does it?
No, it does not.
And what I've been saying too, Ed, the danger, this is the eve of the election in Virginia. Their base mobilizes better than ours.
Absolutely.
So if we react naturally to this and call for the type of measures we need, that's right in the NRA's backyard. Their folk come out tomorrow.
Here's what's interesting to me. For once, I'm going to agree with Trump. This is not just a gun issue. It's a mental health issue as well. But if you do what he did today and try to divorce it, divorce the gun issue from the mental health issue, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
We're going to find out what our base is made of starting tomorrow.
I think you're right. Folks, we got to come out and vote. There's no question about it. 866-99-SIRIUS. Brittany's got the news here, the latest.
Yes, I do.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. All right, so EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt announced new members to his agency's Science Advisory Board on Friday. That's a group of scientists who don't work at the EPA, but they advise the agency. Pruitt replaced 22 people on the 45-member board with oil and gas industry reps who actually question the validity of climate change. Last week, Pruitt had issued a directive that barred scientists receiving grants from the EPA of ever serving on the board. And experts told Vice News that these recent moves indicate that Pruitt is actually more interested in repealing than regulating.
We also heard that Wilbur Ross didn't disclose a relationship with Putin's son-in-law in an oil company interest. So this stuff just doesn't stop.
No, it certainly does not.
All
and
right.
in other news,
Yes.
the New York Police Department says it now has credible rape allegations against disgraced Hollywood pervert Harvey Weinstein. NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce said Friday that investigators have started the process of corroborating allegations brought by actor Paz de la Huerta, who told Vanity Fair that Weinstein raped her twice in her New York City apartment in 2010. There are now more than 80 women who claim that Weinstein sexually assaulted or harassed them.
How many?
More than 80. De La Huerta's case is a little bit different because it is not only within the statute of limitations for rape in the first degree, but they also have concrete evidence that they are working with, which we are not clear on what exactly that is yet. But Boyce told reporters that the officers are currently working on gathering that evidence in anticipation of obtaining an arrest warrant for Weinstein. And the Manhattan DA has confirmed that a senior prosecutor has already been assigned to the case.
Okay. Also, we know the number is at about 26 now. Others in the hospital recovering from the massacre in Texas. We know that the individual was former military. There is the speculation, I don't know that it's confirmed that it was mental illness. It's also not been confirmed whether he was shot or whether he shot himself. So still trying to figure that out. As well, 866-99-SIRIUS. Ed, when this happened in Charleston, Ed Gordon with us, folks. Be sure to check us out on video now. Twitter, Make It Plain. Facebook, Make It Plain. YouTube, Make It Plain. When this happened in Charleston, I had a few black deacons call me and say, man, we need to start arming ourselves in churches. And my initial reaction was, well, are you giving in? The church is supposed to be akin to the teachings of nonviolence. But now I don't know anymore. And I just had a listener call before you came in from Florida. She said that she's been going to attending her synagogue service for decades, and they've always had armed guards.
Buster Soros out of New Jersey just said today that now he doesn't want to hear people who have complained about him having security in the church. I think we have to start to understand that there are no safe havens anymore in the world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We used to believe schools were, churches were, Even some believe their homes were.
Yeah.
That is no longer the case. But I do want to say one thing. When we say things like we don't know if there was any mental illness when we talk about situations like this, for me, there is mental illness anytime this kind of situation happens.
Of course.
It may not be called clinically
right.
mental illness at this point, but no one in their right mind does anything like this.
And how could it? Right. How could it not be mental illness involved? Folks, 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. The number to call. We welcome you to call. We're going to be talking about this. We'll also, after we talk Chad, we'll get Ed's reaction to the revelations that Donna Brazile has shared with us with regards to the DNC. That's a lot, too. First and foremost, though, joining us now from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. We always look at these job numbers. We've been doing it for several years now. Chief Economist at centeronbudget.org, Chad Stone. Chad, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning, Mark. I'm good. You got some tough topics today, I know.
Yeah, for sure. Chad, sitting in with me today is veteran broadcaster Ed Gordon. So just want to introduce two of you. He may have a question or two for you through the course of our conversation as well.
Sure.
So, Chad, the numbers on Friday, am I right, was about 188,000?
No, Friday was 261,000.
261,000. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good number.
That's a good number, but that's a bounce back from the hurricane. I mean, the October jobs report that we got on Friday is almost a mirror image of the September one that we got. Whereas in September, our the jobs number was really depressed because of the hurricane, and now it's really inflated because of the bounce back. On the household side, the unemployment rate went down again, so that's different. But in September, there was a real decline in the labor force, and in October there was a real bounce back in the labor force. So we have to kind of smooth things out over September and October to get a real sense of where we're going.
So, but that is good news that it is a bounce back.
Yes, it's good news that it's a bounce back. That's for sure. It's really expected. What happened in the hurricane was a lot of people were temporarily not at a lot of jobs temporarily. People weren't there, and so employers didn't have them on their payroll because of the hurricane at the time of the survey. But that was a temporary thing. And a lot of those were food service jobs, and those came back. Okay.
So we're still rolling along fairly smoothly and evenly, fully recovering from the recession.
We are. That's right. And in fact, in the revisions to August and September,
right.
Another 90,000 jobs were added. And so last month when we talked, we'd experienced our first decline in payroll employment, but with the revisions, that wasn't a decline. So we still have a very long streak of positive job months. And it's been kind of slow and steady after the initial recovery in 2009, but it's been going on for a long time.
And
that's good.
I'm on the chart, and I had the number. It's 188,000 a month from March 2010 through October 2017.
That's right.
Which is within the target range to sustain a recession. Also, before I throw it to Ed, this is a little bit rare. In October, federal, state, and local government employment, all three rose somewhat.
Right.
I don't remember the last time we saw them all kind of doing that at the same time. It's usually one or the other, two out of the three, or one out of the three.
Right. They're pretty small numbers, but they were all positive. And in fact, a lot of the gap between private sector job growth and the total job growth, the difference being the government jobs. The government jobs have mostly come back from to close to where they were before the recession, but that's really not. State and local government jobs should have been growing over that period. There's more kids to teach, more. So
and obviously some of those state and local government jobs were related to the weather as well, because I guess more help was needed.
Some of the swing. That's right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Ed.
Chad, I was curious if you could give us an indication, as best you can, about the number of people who don't factor into that, and that is those that have just dropped off the charts, those who are no longer looking.
Okay. Those numbers were really prominent in the recession. We had the broadest measure of unemployment, or what the Labor Department calls labor force underutilization in jargon, is the so-called U6 measure, and that counts people who've stopped looking, who say they want a job but haven't looked actively enough to be counted as officially unemployed, and also people who are working part-time or not getting as many hours as they would like to get. They're part-time for economic reasons or involuntarily part-time. And that measure actually fell again in October, and it's actually below where it was before the start of the Great Recession in 2007. So we've actually seen a lot of improvement in that number over the past few years. And it used to be a very prominent issue. There's still some people that probably could be drawn back into the labor force if we continue to keep the unemployment rate really low and we continue to have really tight labor markets. But we've actually seen a huge improvement in that number, and that of course is a good thing. But there's still more to be done.
Yeah, indeed. Chad Stone with us. Chad, I know we're talking about jobs, but I have to ask you, since this tax cut proposal has come out,
Yeah.
Have you all had a chance to look at that? I'm sure you have.
We have our website is full of tax analysis, just like it was full of healthcare analysis during that debate. And in fact, healthcare hasn't completely gone away, but I did write about that in my U.S. News piece, the healthcare, because it was open enrollment, and there are all these stories about Obamacare exploding, and it's not, and on the tax side, we're seeing a lot of the same thing, a lot of claims that this is going to be great for the middle class and all that. Mm-hmm. And our analysis shows that it's going to be great for really rich people. And the claims about everyone else are dubious, especially when you take into account the fact that they're going to add an awful lot to the deficit, it looks like. And ultimately that's going to have to get paid for in some way. And when people start to pay more attention to the deficit again, it's programs that hurt low-income, moderate-income folks that get whacked. So Medicaid is still in danger. SNAP is still in danger. And so we both have analysis of the tax cut proposals that point out how heavily they benefit high-income people. Repealing the estate tax. We have analysis about how there are gimmicks that are going to sort of take away some of the initial apparent gains to the middle. Mm-hmm. So this is an ongoing thing, and as with healthcare, the Republicans are trying to rush it through Congress without it getting real scrutiny. But we and a lot of other people are doing our best to get the information out about what's really going on.
Folks, we always love and promote the charts at centeronbudget.org. Check them out. One of the ones I'm looking at now that Bob Greenstein and Chad both tweeted, the House Republican tax bill will cut taxes by $150 billion per year, mostly for the wealthy and corporations. That's equal to the combined costs of doubling the Pell Grant, doubling cancer research, funding the full backlog of needed maintenance in national parks, providing child care assistance to 6 million children, providing opioid addiction treatment to 300,000 people, and training 3.5 million workers for in-demand jobs. So, I mean, that's sort of the graphic detail and the numbers about how this is on the regular middle class, working class backs, Chad.
That's right, and it's not that it's the equivalent of each of those things. It's the equivalent of all those things together.
Yeah,
and that was the point I was making earlier. That ultimately that it's going to have to be paid for, and guess where that's going to come from?
Yeah, of course. And as we talk about jobs, we also know that it's mythical that tax cuts for the wealthy create jobs.
It is. It's not right. Trickle down economics all over again.
Right.
And of course, the economy is really close to full employment now, and so the job creation aspect of things is more limited. It's not like 2009 when there's a lot of people to be put back to work, and so this is going to depend on not on more capacity in the economy, and what the tax cuts might give, the deficits take away. And so the bottom line is that low and moderate income people are not going to see much, and are probably going to be hurt in the longer run, and the rich are, and the evidence does not say that produces tremendous growth. Contrary to what the administration's economists are putting out, their analysis has been subject to a lot of criticism.
Yeah.
Mark, I've said this for a long time. I think we have to also be careful when we talk jobs, because when we talk about an uptick in jobs, many people get excited. But really, it's important to make sure that we look at the income level.
That's true, too. Right.
You can have a job, and if you're not making any real money, your ability to sustain yourself and your family hasn't grown necessarily either. So I think it's important for us to keep that in mind when we look at these numbers.
And Chad, you've looked at that, too, as well, in terms of wages, right?
Yes. So there's one wage series that comes out in the monthly jobs report, and that's the average hourly earnings. And it's not corrected for inflation. And that too was the mirror image of September and October. In October, a lot of low-wage workers, those restaurant workers and food service workers, weren't at work. Weren't in the payroll survey, and therefore the wages were artificially inflated because this is an average and included the lower wage folks were not included. They came back in, and the wages only grew 2.3% over the past year. But the broader issue that I think we're talking about is the fact that on a sustained basis for many years, most of the gains from economic growth have been going to folks higher up the income scale. In fact, not higher up, at the very top, and middle income and especially lower income workers have not been doing as well. Minimum wage increases that went into effect a little while ago helped boost, but we need to raise the minimum wage again and we need to keep a high pressure economy, an economy with unemployment low, and trying to push the point where employers finally realize that they should stop complaining that they can't find the workers they need and start paying wages that will attract the workers they need. So it's this inequality issue is a long-standing one, and we need to boost incomes at the bottom and for moderate income households. And one of the things we can do is have realistic is maintain the earned income tax credit, which rewards work and which does provide benefits to low and moderate income households. And we should extend it to some folks who are left out. And once upon a time, Paul Ryan was for that. And now it's not clear that that's in the tax plan.
Chad, just before we go to, you mentioned Obamacare. What your research has also shown is that Trump's behavior, his assaults on the Affordable Care Act, are what has caused premiums to go up. Am I right about that?
It's the major cause. That's right. We have a page on our website. Never thought we'd ever have something called this, but it's the Sabotage Watch on the Affordable Care Act. It's a calendar of all the steps that Congress or the administration primarily have been taking, and so if you're saying, we're not going to pay these the insurance, we're not going to reimburse the insurance companies for providing help to low income to lower income households on the Obamacare exchanges on healthcare.gov and elsewhere. Then what the insurers do is say, okay, well, if we're going to continue to be in those markets, we're going to raise our premiums to make up for what the subsidies that we still have to give to households, but the government's not reimbursing us as the law says it should. That's and that uncertainty caused the insurers to raise a lot of the premiums. And most of the abnormal increase in premiums for 2018 come from that sabotage, whereas if the law had continued as it was meant to be, you would have seen relatively modest increases in premiums.
Well, thanks for telling us about that. I'm looking at it now, folks, at sitonbudget.org, Sabotage Watch, tracking efforts to undermine the ACA, the latest entry, and this is a timeline. November 1st, the Trump administration reduces email outreach for the marketplace, open enrollment, period. HHS isn't emailing millions of people who need information about open enrollment and coverage. So, yeah, you're right. That's direct sabotage. You're right, folks. Yep. Check that out at centeronbudget.org. They're on top of all of this. Chad, I'm sure that you're unfortunately, it sounds cliche when we talk about thoughts and prayers, but what else can we do at this moment? I'm sure that you are as concerned as all of us about what's happened in Texas on yesterday.
Indeed, and thoughts and prayers are important. So is action.
Amen. There it is. Thank you, Chad. Chad Stone, Sit on Budget. Give everybody at Sit on Budget my regards, Chaz. Okay.
Will do.
All right. Take care, buddy. CenterOnBudget.org with Chad Stone. Ed Gordon here in studio with us, folks. We're up on our social media. And want to get your calls, 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748 while Ed is here. We've talked a little bit about what's happened in Texas. And Ed, this is a population of less than 600 people. And people on television yesterday were saying how they would, this is the kind of place, I know this was still happening anywhere in America, where people could leave their doors unlocked, their car doors, their back doors at home. This just changes everything. I said a few years ago after Aurora that the right wing's perpetuation of the black-on-black crime myth was eventually going to hurt white America. And we know far too often we've become numb and anesthetized to gun violence in our community. Now it's happening so much in the white community. Vegas is Texas church shooting. It's like white folks in the same position. Well, ain't nothing we can do about it, so let's just keep it moving.
So I take us back to Columbine.
Okay.
When we talk about school violence, violence in places that we thought were antiseptic to it, that was happening in Black America for a long time, and nobody paid attention. And then Columbine happened, and then people started to say, wait a minute, what's going on here in America? Violence in schools. Yet it had been going on in urban areas for years. I think there's a misnomer that the press has helped to facilitate, and that is when we say it couldn't happen in a town like this. Yeah. How could it happen? Yeah. I lived here because I didn't think it would happen here. That's fine and dandy. Or I hear it shouldn't happen here. It shouldn't happen anywhere. And the truth of the matter is it can happen anywhere, and we're starting to see this. So the kind of falsehood and fallacy that we've always painted in a sleepy, quiet town in Connecticut or a small southern town in Texas, it doesn't matter where we go. Gun violence is pervasive. And until we start to understand that, believe that, and as Mr. Stone just said, act upon it, it really doesn't matter what we say.
And not only that, too, I wonder if we also get hamstrung when we use terrorism. Because still, even what happened last week, that's an individual guy. Still, as far as I'm concerned, that's a mental health issue, to borrow what you said earlier. I mean, anybody can say, this guy can come up and say, well, I was radicalized.
Right.
And that almost becomes a way of not dealing with it. All of these incidents to me almost seem to have one common thing, whether they call themselves radicalized or not. It's almost as if they want to commit some kind of suicide by a cop. Like they're looking to invite that or some harm upon themselves. When it comes to a person of color, Muslim, what have you, okay, it's a whole group of people. But in this situation, just like Vegas, this is a lone individual person with a mental health problem.
It's a wink and a nod, and we've seen it happen for years. as you say, with people of color, there's a stigma attached to it that
Right.
permeates and taints an entire group of people. Like, see, that's an example of how
Yeah.
crazy we've been telling you they are.
Yeah.
When the face becomes particularly a white male face, then it's a lone wolf, and it has nothing to do with the rest of us. It's not terror. Of course it's terror. Tell me those people weren't terrorized in that church. You don't have to be Muslim. You don't have to be 2 or 3 hues darker for us to label it terrorism. There can be and is domestic terror in this country.
Ed Gordon with us, folks. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. You're welcome to join us as we talk about what has happened. In the meantime, every soul to the polls tomorrow. Even if you don't live in Virginia or Jersey, get in touch with your relatives there. Undoubtedly, you have some. And then Reverend Jackson was on earlier. I was not aware that there's a political stunt going on in Flint, Michigan. Tomorrow, there will be a vote on recalling Mayor Karen Weaver in Flint. That's crazy. So we need to get out and support. He called us. He was in Flint this morning.
Yeah, I just left Flint a few weeks ago, and it's extraordinary to talk to the people of Flint. One woman who was in her 70s said, imagine 4.5 years of taking a bird bath. That's what I've had to do. I had a man say, I don't care what they tell me about this water while I've started to take showers because they're telling people now the water is fine. He said he will not allow his 5-year-old child to bathe and take showers. He doesn't trust it. That's where we are. But here's what I would say to people who've complained about Trump, who've complained about the situation. And look, let's be honest. You mentioned Donna Brazile. I know we'll get into that in just a minute. But I think what we're seeing is why so many people are disenchanted with politics across the board, not necessarily Republican and Democrat, just politics and politicians across the board. But the reality is you have to stay involved. Yeah. And I'm going to tell Black America and those who are like-minded, if we see low turnout tomorrow in any state, then that speaks a lot to just a lot of fire and rain from our community, but very little action.
Ed Gordon with us, folks. 866-99-SIRIUS. Well, speaking of that, let's talk about Donna and her book. What's your reaction? Some are saying that Donna is fine to say what Donna says, but the timing is bad.
So you and I have both known Donna for a long time. And I think that Donna is an extraordinary tactician politically. So you can't assume that she didn't think about this beforehand. What I appreciate, whether you agree or disagree with what she's written, is that she's standing by it. If more politicians and those of political bents would do that at least, we'd all be better off. The timing, I think, will clearly bring discord and discourse to the Democratic Party, which is much needed, I think. Yeah. She may see this as a short loss if it does harm them for a longer victory. Time will tell. It's certainly going to be interesting to see who rises out of this in the next 2 or 3 years to lead this party, because what we're seeing is a party in disarray. Yeah, period.
Complete disarray. 866-997-4748. Folks, your reactions to all that. Ed Gordon here in studio with us. Let's get a few calls. Ishmael's in Chicago. Ishmael, God bless you. Good morning. Get ready for impeachment. You're on there with Ed Gordon. Go right ahead.
God bless you. Good morning, everybody. Definitely the prayers that go out to the victims in Texas. I want to talk about the armed, security that's in the House of Worships. I'm a part of the Nation of Islam. I've been part since 30 years. And we always had a routine, of course, when anybody enters the mosque or temple, you have to get searched. Yeah. It's a thorough search procedure because some people may have weapons on them. Some people may be drunk. Some people may be high. Some people may have cigarettes. And we are dealing with the House of Worship when you have babies, you have women, you have elderly, you have people that are disabled. And just the mind, because it was thought and it brought out the mind of man, black, white, red, yellow, brown, doesn't matter. The mind of a man, you don't know what's going on. Right. So
what people
having a safe environment around, there is a precaution that needs to be taken care of. Now, also, too, I work in TPS. Now, they do have armed guards, but a lot of armed guards are police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're police officers to the point that they wear their jacket and their gun is concealed. So it's not like they're walking around with the gun like it's a, movie or anything like that, but it's to the point that it is needed as far as the police in the school system, but not to the point that this is a prison. So, but I feel that having some form of security in any house of worship, church, mosque, synagogue, it is needed.
Well,
And,
in reaction to what you're saying, and let's be honest, this is a little family business. At times we've known people who may or may not, or actually may not, be interested in attending an event where the nation's involved because some people don't want to do the pat down.
Exactly.
Now, and that's clear. Let's be clear about that. I mean, it's never bothered me. That's me. But some folk, well, Mark, come on, let's go to. No, I don't want to go because I'm not in the mood for pat down. That's fine. That's your choice.
Exactly.
After what we're seeing in Charleston and what we're seeing today, I think a whole lot of folk are gonna get over that and not have no problem with no pat down.
Correct.
I mean, it's not funny, but it is too. I mean, it's sad that it's unfortunate that it's come to that, but that's the reality where we are.
Here's another reality, though. That doesn't solve the problem because we're not going to be able to arm every church, every movie theater,
That's right.
every school.
Right.
While it helps in some instances, the reality is if what we are told is correct, even having armed security guards, we would have seen a number of deaths, probably fewer than 26. But if he's shooting in the church from outside, going to the front door, coming in, he's going to take out some people.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Whether you had armed security in and around that building or not. And so while I agree we should do as much as we can, it does not solve the problem that we have of indiscriminate, rampant violence across this country. Because to your point earlier, Mark, it's so easy to paint this picture of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Running rampant with violence because that's another wink and a nod. Chicago and violence means black folks.
Yeah, it does.
But we know that there were no black folks involved in this shooting or shot, as far as I could tell yesterday.
And it won't be depicted at all as white on white violence either. It won't even come across as that. As Trump is already spinning, oh, this is an isolated situation. It doesn't. It's just one person. But we know very well that something has to be done. And as Ed said so eloquently, folks, listen, action. And Chad said it, action. If we show up tomorrow, we don't have to make a whole lot of noise because we want that sleeping giant to stay asleep in Virginia. That's the NRA headquarters. If we show up tomorrow and vote, especially in Virginia, New Jersey, everywhere else, but especially in Virginia, we can begin the process of bringing about some significant change.
So Mark, here's a question for you.
Okay.
We got Get Woke behind us. Angela Rye and I were together, bumped into one another at the airport the other day, and we talked about this sense of hashtagging and fist raising. But what happens tomorrow if we don't show up? What does that say to us?
It says that we are still
asleep.
Yeah, we're definitely still asleep, and especially first of all, Ishmael, thank you for calling me. I'm gonna let you go, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, well, Islam, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, we still asleep, and there's this. When it's an off-year election, none of our constituencies in the base come out and vote. It was made because I'm gonna tell you something, Ed. See, and Donna folks will be with us Thursday, 7:30, I think. Brittany, Donna's here 7:30 Thursday morning. People may not really want to go down the route that Donna's taking us because they may find out some things they don't want to hear, including because there's one line in that excerpt where she says the reason Hillary took over the party, that President Obama left it broke.
She absolutely hits the president hard.
Right. And in addition to that, we know that Obama kind of did the Clinton thing that he did in 1994. Well, we'll just concede the House. And his spokespeople came out in 2010 and said, well, we never win. And it just was kind of, it brought about a lot of apathy. So there's a money problem. There's an apathy problem. We've got to do something about it. And if that manifests itself once again tomorrow, we are in serious trouble.
We also need to start holding people accountable, which we do not do.
No, we don't.
We do not do. She talked about not only leaving it broke, but she talked about his inability to want to help eradicate that debt, because he could have done that had he just said, I'm going to raise money and get rid of this debt. And she's suggesting he chose not to do that and just moved on about his business. What we do not do is hold people accountable. Think about black leadership in the Virginia, D.C. area.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mobilize and bring people to the polls and help win that governor's race, and the current lieutenant governor is only 3 points up on Ed Gillespie, the Republican candidate at that point. And for a sitting lieutenant governor, you would assume that to be something that you should have a couple of more points ahead, particularly where that state sits right now economically and the like. And we do not see that. So if black leadership doesn't mobilize and move African Americans to move, then we need to start looking at black leadership. Black leadership has gotten a pass for the failure to get the black vote out for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a pass.
As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think anything has changed over the weekend. But speaking of black leadership, for whatever reason, Doug Wilder is not endorsing Northam. He's endorsing Fairfax, but not Northam. So not quite sure why that is. Be that as it may, folks, we have got to get out and vote tomorrow. The other reason for it, too, is that, Ed, the last time the Democrats won Virginia, New Jersey together was in 2005. It was a bellwether because the next year in 2006, we won the House back. So if we win this, it forebodes that we may have an opportunity to win the House back on next year. Don't wait on anybody to tell y'all. Get out and vote. Knock 10, that's the iPhone app or Android app you can also use to find out what doors you can knock on in your neighborhood. It's not too late to do that today. Before we go to break, Keith in Illinois. Keith, God bless you. Good morning. Get ready for impeachment. You're on the air with Ed Gordon. Go right ahead, Keith.
Hey, Mark, love your show.
Thank you.
And for the Donna Brazile, I'm a long-time listener. Donna Brazile, I believe, is dividing the Democratic Party. I've been a lifelong Democrat in Illinois, involved with politics in Illinois, and we need to stay united. Once we are united, we cannot be beat. We cannot be beat. So, in Virginia, in New Jersey, we need to vote like our lives depended on it.
So let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Ed.
I was going to say, I think it's important that we understand one thing. Donna Brazile is not dividing the party. The party is divided already. Now, what she's doing is bringing it to light. What she's doing is casting perhaps more disappointment from the base.
Right.
But
Ed,
this party is fractured.
Also, right. But Ed, Bernie Sanders was an independent. We allowed him to basically be in the Democratic primary. He was an independent. People forget that. He shouldn't have never been allowed.
But here's the thing, Keith. I think your sentiment, I've heard that. We've heard it from all sides. And your point is valid. And then the Bernie people have some valid points, too. So it's complicated. And that's one of the blessings and curses of having a party with as much diversity. It is the big tent. So you're going to have that level of conflict. But we got to do something about it.
Right.
And hopefully what Donna's doing is waking us up to what some of the problems were and continue to be. And again, I think the biggest one was why is our side broke? What is it that we aren't doing? Why? See, there are more Democrats and more progressives and more liberals in America than there are Republicans or right wingers. Why they have all the money? But we know, he cuts taxes for the rich, so they give him money. But still, with all of us, we have got to figure out a way to sustain ourselves financially and have more money also. So
right, absolutely, because I give every month. So basically, we've got to, give to the cause and I understand the Bernie people, but we have to be united against what is here now, which is Trump. We have to beat that
Agreed.
back.
Agreed. I love Donna, but if she had just asked me, I would have said release the book Wednesday. That's all. That's only a small suggestion, just to be sure.
I mean, you could have released
but she has a right to put it out there. And as Ed said, we'll talk to there's a reason why Donna did it in the timing, in the way she did. So we'll find out what that is. She's also letting me know that on Thursday she has some things to say that are worse. Oh my God! So I don't even know what that is going to be, but I'm scared.
Yeah, let's find out.
Thank you, Keith. Good to talk to you, man. Barney's in Michigan. Barney, God bless you. Good morning. Good work. Get ready for impeachment. You're on the air with Ed Gordon. Go right ahead.
How you doing, Mark and Ed?
Hey.
Morning.
Hey, listen, Mark, I've been listening to you quite some time, a long time progress listener, and I was telling your screener that I can understand Donna Brazile wanting to tell what she told, wanting to write what she wrote. I understand that. But what I cannot and will not ever be able to comprehend or disagree with is my feelings that right now, because of nothing else other than her timing, she can only be considered an assassin of the Democratic Party, an assassin. And I am beyond livid with her, all because of her timing and what she hoped to gain, or what she delusionally thought we would be taught by her releasing that book right now is beyond any person's ability to comprehend. She just handed Donald Trump and the Fourth Reich one of the best gifts they could ever get on a solid gold platter.
So here's what's interesting about what he just said, and we talked about Donna being a veteran in the tactical movements and understanding the political ramifications of what she did. This is either going to be a huge win or a huge loss for her. There is no gray area, no middle ground here.
Yeah.
And it will be interesting to see how it plays out, because his sentiments are the sentiments of a lot of people out there right now. Sometimes you got to wait to see how this irons itself out, but he speaks for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think on our side it's about 50-50, because a lot of people, Barney, are thankful that she has done what she has done. So we will see what comes of it, and maybe it took this to shake us, I don't know, into doing something, looking into it. Barney, you're not a first-time caller, are you?
For you, yeah, I am, Mark, but not to Progress as a whole.
Well, I appreciate that. You know what that means, don't you?
No, what does that mean, my brother?
That means you, like all of our first-time callers, in the words of Barry White, are our first, our last, and our everything. Don't be a stranger, Barney, okay? And don't make your first call your last.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you too. Elaine, I got to go to break. I'm going to come to you right after. Let me go to a quick break and pay a bill. This is your wake-up call. Be more purposeful about how you use your money. Build black, buy black, and bank black to build wealth in the black community. Black people spend $1.2 trillion a year, but those dollars don't circulate in the community. There needs to be a sense of urgency to improve the economy. The Bank Black, Buy Black, and Buy the Block movements are so important, including purchasing and holding on to real estate in the community. Pay attention to where and how you spend. And remember to save and invest your money by moving your money to One United Bank, the largest black-owned and first black internet bank in America and FDIC member. You join the Bank Black movement using your Mona, Amir, or Lady Liberty Visa debit cards with their powerful, proud images celebrating blackness. It shows the world that black money matters. Just go to oneunited.com. That's oneunited.com. Open an account and get your Visa debit card so you can bank black, buy black, and build black today. Don't go away, Elaine. We'll take a quick break on the radio, and we'll be right back with Ed Gordon in studio. Honor to have our brother, my man, 100 grand, sporting his Hoya Saxa cap, too. That's all right. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Sirius XM Progress 127 Resistance Radio. Get woke. Get ready for impeachment. This is MIP.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.
Folks on social media, bear with us. We're coming right back. Ed Gordon is here. Y'all see Brother Ed in studio with us. We appreciate him coming in and honoring us with his presence. Retweet this, share it, so everybody can see it. All right. Moving in on top of that, not a lot of time left. Ed, how's the show going? I assume you were here doing some taping over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, we're in fact putting together a special called "Am I Black Enough for You?" You remember the old Billy Paul song, so I was walking through some stuff one day, had some music on that came on, and I said, "That's an interesting question because the definition of black for black folks is always interesting to me." So what we've decided to do is talk to people across the country, celebrities and others, and talk about and look at how we define black. The easy kind of view of that is the continuing light versus dark debate that we've had throughout our years here. Right. But it's much, much bigger than that. And so this afternoon, we're interviewing Misty Copeland.
Wow.
We sat down with Sam Jackson out in L.A., and Sam is always very interesting. And so we have celebrities and others talk about it, but we also hit stories. We've got a young lady who is interracial, Amy Barnett, who used to be an Ebony editor and an editor at Teen Vogue and others. We sat two sisters down, one very light, one very dark, and they talk about the prejudice each has received from within our community. We talk about being gay and black with Emil Wilbekin.
Okay.
So it's going to be a very interesting show. So we're in the midst of shooting that now.
Bounce TV.
Bounce TV. That one will be on first of the year.
So, folks, check your local listings. Go to Bounce on the internet, bounce.com. Is that the Bounce TV? And find out where you can see it locally and watch Ed Gordon. Elaine is in Arizona. Elaine, God bless you. Come on, get ready for impeachment. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Ed. And
good morning.
Good morning to you. I am glad to hear your voice again. I kind of used to listen to you all the time. What I want to do is just point out 3 areas that has caused us problems.
Okay, just do it quickly for me, Elaine, because I don't have a lot of time. Please, go right ahead, though.
Okay. Bernie Sanders got the youth on his side. We don't have a strategy to bring our youth in, so we need to work on our strategy. We have become very complacent. Okay. I just quickly, MLK... we were taken that day was taken away from us in Arizona. We got it back. You know, there's not enough black people to vote for that, but we developed a strategy. We don't have a strategy, and maybe some of the people who are leaders now need to move aside. Donna, fine. She's done a good job, but I think she was out of line in some of the things that she brought up. Her book was fine, but her to bring in Obama leaving us broke, that's nothing but giving them fuel for the fire.
You don't think we need to deal with that, though?
Oh, yes, we need to deal with that, but how are you going to deal with it? You know, is it something we deal with outside of the media? You know?
Well, the thing is we haven't dealt with it at all, either in the public or outside the public, so it's something we have to deal with. And again, it boils down to the question of whether even some of us who are the traditional base in the Democratic Party are going to hold African-American leadership accountable. That's what Ed was saying earlier, and that's what we have to address.
Okay.
Elaine, I got to run, though. I always love to hear from you, okay? Keep your head up in Arizona. And I know you and others folks will be praying for these families in South Sutherland today. Ed, thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Sitting in with me, brother.
Always good to see
every time
you,
you're in
man.
New York, you come sit in with me, man.
I appreciate that.
All right, folks. Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Michelangelo Signorelli, Dean Obadella, continuing coverage across all our platforms of the tragedy in Texas. If all minds are clear, it has been made plain.